today? I mean, we can go back. We can talk about Whip and Prince Markie D and some of the cats, but who, like, moving up kind of kept the Boricua flag going in the culture of hip-hop?
I mean, from Whip and you know, Ruby.
Yeah, we're talking about after Whip
Tito,
and Ruben.
yeah.
We're talking about next generations.
I feel like, you know, there's a couple out there. This kid named Curious.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say Curious.
You know that's my man.
Curious
We did a joint recently. Prince Power Rule was out there. But, you know, hip-hop is about who can make it to the top. So a lot of people don't get recognized because of that. I've been doing this shit 40 years, and people don't know who the fuck I am. So it kind of skipped the pun, you know what I'm saying? Like pun really took it to the next level, you know what I mean? And even that was, he said, he kissed, you know, G-Rap said he kissed his ring, you know what I'm saying? Like, he knew that was a G-Rap flow that he was doing, you know what I'm saying? But, I mean, I guess I wanted to ask you guys what you think about the breakdancing part, because I'm not an expert at that, but from what I understand, the Boricua influence was a lot heavier in breakdancing than it was, you know, at the beginning of you know, I'm talking about creating, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, as far as my, you know, me, I go as far back as being a B-boy, okay? Right. Like 74, you know what I mean, trying it out, doing the thing, and have my little crew and shit like that. My influence from B-boys came from blacks, black B-boys. The cats that used to dance at Kool Herc's parties, Sasa and El Dorado Mike and the Nigga Twins, you know what I mean? And
they were definitely
and Trixie
black.
And all of those guys.
I would think so.
I don't know, Trixie look a little
Latin. So they're Puerto Rican, they're trying a little too hard.
Shout out to the Nigga Twins.
But here's what happened. Here's what happened. That was in the area of the Bronx that I was in. Now, if you understand that this is coming right off the gang culture in New York City, and gang culture was adopted straight into hip hop. Like a lot of these gangs turned into crews. All right, turned into hip hop crews. So the ones who gravitated toward the dance helped to elevate the dance as well.
Right.
All right, so you're talking about Latinos and gang culture, and then coming over with moving into hip hop. That was a definitive influence. And then the first generation of b-boys started to fade out because breaking was a young thing. It was a youthful thing. And the problem was you can't dance with girls while you break dancing. So if you're in a party, you trying to get some pussy, all right, you can't walk up to a chick and be like, yo, shorty, you want to dance? And then take her to the middle of the floor, turn your motherfucking hat backwards, and start breaking and dancing, moonwalking and spinning. Bitch gonna be like, what the fuck is wrong with this nigga? I'm going to the fever. All right, so a lot of the older guys just abandoned the dance. And for a minute, it wasn't cool to be breakdancing. If you're 16, 17, years old, 8, you know what I mean? So the cooler guys, kind of gravitated away from it. Breaking died for a small period. And then the Rocksteady crew, TBB, the Bronx Boys, you know what I mean? All these local crews started to come up and resurrected the dance. And these were mainly comprised of Latinos, Puerto Ricans.
What year would you say that breakdancing sort of died off?
I would say 79, maybe 80 to 82. Because when Flashdance came out, and when the documentaries, Style Wars, and then Wild Style came out, they increased the visibility of the culture and brought it back tenfold. When Flashdance came out as a full feature-length motion picture and featured the fucking Rocksteady crew and the breakdancing, that was the first time the country saw it. So when the country saw it, it caught fire. And that's why Rocksteady crew got the notoriety that they continue to get from that, movies to follow, and on. You know what I mean? So now, like I said, the Latin or the Puerto Rican contingency picked up the breakdancing ball and ran with that shit when niggas or black people thought it wasn't cool no more.
They moved it.
Plain and simple. Now, were there still blacks breaking? Yes, there were. And to this day, yeah, there's still black, but it's not a predominantly black thing no more.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It's not.
Do you think they moved it forward, though?
They definitely moved it forward. You crazy?
That's what I'm saying.
In the dance
listen,
and
Puerto
the
Ricans
promotion
in
of
hip hop
it.
made the shit look dope to other people looking at it. Because a lot of people didn't see Trixie. A lot of people didn't see Sasa. They didn't see James Bond. They didn't see the nigga twins. All right, but they saw Flashdance, they saw Wild Style, they saw Beat Street, and that's where they got their breakings. That's where they got their breakings from.
When my mother and father used to do this dance where he used to throw her under his legs and then spin my mom's around his neck and he'd start doing all this stuff. I'm quite sure you see.
That was like the 30s and 40s.
My mother and father used to do that shit. They was in there doing that.
Man, me and your mother ain't never did none of that shit. Now,
you and my mom was cool, but if you didn't do that.
That was like Whitey
Yo,
Ford.
but would you consider that like part of the culture of breaking?
Sure.
The way they was spinning?
Sure. Breaking was inspired by so many different things, and especially as it moved on. Now, in the beginning, you know, you talked about this earlier, that it's all culture, and we can all trace this back to other things that already existed. But we didn't see those things.
Right.
I never, you know, I was lucky enough to hear Pigmeat Markham do Here Come the Judge. I was 6, 7 years old when that record came out, and I was directly influenced by that.
Love that.
But the b-boys of this generation never saw the Nicholas brothers.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
They never saw the African dancers. They never saw capoeira. Okay, until later on, and then they started seeing things in karate movies and stuff like that, and start emulating moves from there. They started seeing other things in movies, films like that emulated those moves, and all of those things led to the, you know, the breaking that you see today. All of those things were integrated into it. Yeah. All right, but the original, if you see me breakdance, if I could breakdance right now the way I did back in the day, you'd be like, that's that bitch from the Olympics. Like, that's that bitch.
I can do that shit.
That's how primitive my skills were. So you can see why I graduated and moved on. You know what I mean?
Talking is a lot easier.
Exactly.
So, Caz, you was on the cardboard?
I was pre-cardboard.
Nah, cardboard came
Wasn't
cardboard
That was later.
That shit came later.
We didn't have no cardboard. We didn't have no
cardboard.
But you was down there?
Yeah, man. I used to break.
That shit came later. All that
No, I'm
cardboard.
just saying. I'm just asking. Was he down there?
My DJ name came from my b-boy name. My b-boy name was Casanova Fly. Okay, and then when I became a DJ, I just kept the name Casanova Fly as a DJ.
Right.
Okay, but I was down with a crew of b-boys called the Casanova Crew.
And he was Casanova Fly. He was spin that way.
Oh, okay.
It was like Casanova Red, it was Casanova Mac, it was Casanova this, Casanova that.
Okay.
And I picked Casanova Fly, yeah, exactly, before the ASAP mob and all that, you know.
The Casanovas.
Yeah, but that quickly played, you know, for me, you know, dancing and breaking, because I was all right at it, I was good, but I wanted more out of the culture. I wanted a bigger involvement. When I snuck in Kool Herc Party and seen that nigga DJing, I'm like, fuck dancing. I'm gonna make people dance. You know what I mean? It's like 100 people like out here dancing, but it's only one nigga up in that booth, and he's making all of them dance. He's in control. That's what I want to be. Okay? And so that's when I was like, shit, I ain't that good at this shit anyway. Let these niggas dance, and I'm gonna be a DJ.